The money is out there, but a true hustler finds it. And we're going to talk about it on this segment of The Gig Geezer. If this is your first time checking out The Gig Geezer, or if you're a returning visitor of The Gig Geezer, hey, thanks for coming by. And if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I am starting off this segment of The Gig Geezer today, Tuesday, February 1st, 2023. I've just picked up a pallet from a dispatch order that's going to pay me $181.70. This is a 120-mile trip rounded up to Concord, North Carolina. And I have no complaints. I don't mind driving basically an hour and a half for an opportunity like this. I was not looking for it. I actually had plans of doing a catering delivery and maybe then do some food delivery pickups and maybe Instacart, and that would be my first half hustle for today. But when you're out here trying to make money, you have to jump on opportunities when they come up, and this is one of them. Now, just for the sake of conversation, last month, and I know a lot of folk talked of how it was a rough month for them. I can't say it was a rough month for me. Last month, in all my 1099 earnings, this includes gig app work and insurance agent work, I made $7,115 and change. That is my second best month in the gig economy. My best month occurred December 2020 when I made $7,160. And we're talking about two different situations, two different times. December 2020, people were still on lockdowns or social distancing restrictions, and people were far more dependent upon the gig delivery apps like the DoorDashes and the Grubhubs and the Uber Eats and the Instacarts. And so that was still a part of the golden era of gig food delivery work. We're talking 2023. There's talk of recession. There's talk of people have mass layoffs on jobs and so forth. There's the debt ceiling that's kind of been in and out of the news, but it's still an issue. People are doing more things for themselves than they did 2-3 years ago. Now, someone may wonder, well, how did I make $7,100? I will tell you up front that at least 75% of my money came from gig food delivery work. Specifically, I made $5,545 in 26 days last month, and that came out to an average of just over $213 a day. In that best month of December 2020, I put in 27 days, if memory serves me correct, and I averaged over $227 a day. So it's not a big drop off. Altogether, when I look at the last 5 Januaries, so that means going back to 2019, in order, I made $3,860 in 2019. I worked every day that month in 2019, and I averaged $124.52 a day. In 2020, I made $4,351.50. All of it was on gig delivery work, and I put in 30 days and averaged $145 a day. 2021, I made $6,534, of which $5,580 was through gig food delivery work. So that means some of it was insurance agent money. I put in 27 days and averaged $206 a day. In 2022, okay, I got my numbers wrong. Now, in 2022, last year, I made $6,420.72, of which $6,264 was made through gig delivery work, and I put in 27 and a half days, and I averaged just a tick under $228 last year. And so this past month, again, I made $71.15.71, of which $55.45.71 was in gig delivery work or gig app work, And I put in 26 days, as I said, and I averaged $213.21. Now, does that sound like that I was really struggling? No. In fact, in a previous Gig Geezer segment, I said that if my numbers are down, it's not off by much. And when you're saying that I'm off by maybe $15 a day, or you can say $450, I'm not losing any sleep over $450. Not at all. So what does that tell you? A true gig hustler, a true hustler will find ways to make the money that they need to make. And by the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Now, I'm not going to go off into what do you need to do. I've shared that stuff. What I want to do is just have a conversation about the mindset, the strategy that's involved with doing when you're trying to make that type of money. I'm certain that there are people who've made more than I did last month. And if you did, I'm glad for you. And if you did it on one or two apps, I'm even more ecstatic for you, because you're in a market situation that allows you not to have to work as many apps. For me, last month, the money there were 10 sources by which the money was made. The 10th source being insurance agent work, of which I made $1,570 last month. The rest of them were gig apps, gig delivery apps: DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Instacart, Roadie, Point Pickup, Dlivrd that, Dispatch, and Uber Eats. So that's 9. 10 when I include insurance agent work. And you know what? When you're a hustler, it's not uncommon to do those type of things. It's just not uncommon. And so when somebody says that you need to go out and get your real job, don't listen to that person. Recently I participated in on a live stream, on Hannibal's live stream with Steve Rideshare Rodeo, called Beyond the Algorithm. And there was some quick mentioning about getting a W-2. Go out and get a real job. You know what? You can't depend on the W-2 situation. W-2 situation is not as stable as it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. I shared in a recent Gig Geezer segment based on some information I saw on WION, YouTube channel, or social media-based news channel out of India. They reported how, based on Forbes magazine, the average time on a job has decreased over time. 50, 60 years ago, a person basically, when they were hired there, they either died or they retired there. The average time on that job was over 30 years. 30 years ago, the average time on the job was 20 years. And that's about when I had entered into the job market as a college graduate. Now they're projecting the average time on the job could be 10 years. I would venture to say if you're on the same job, you're at a same W-2 job situation for even 5 years, consider yourself lucky, because there's so many factors in why people are not working the same jobs. Now, I think one of the things now I am no economist, but I realized that during the pandemic, which really spurred a lot of people getting into gig food delivery work. For example, DoorDash back in 2018 was saying that they had 300,000 drivers. 300,000 drivers. Now they're saying they got over 6 million drivers that have worked the app at least once in 2021. So that means that number has increased by 20-fold. 20-fold. And the pandemic had a lot to do with it, because businesses were shutting down, and people had to make money. And so they turned to things like DoorDash and the Grubhubs and the Uber Eats and the Roadies and all that to make money. Now, some took the check, that was offered by the government, in which they were getting like what, $600 a week, which is better than a lot of jobs that they were working. But I think what a lot of folk have said though was that the money that they were making on those gig apps was a hell of a lot better than the job situation. They didn't have to answer up to somebody breathing down their neck and having to give account for every moment that they're on the job. They didn't have to deal with the politics of job situations. And so they're like, I love this. I love my independence and autonomy. And that's a good thing, okay? But that's basically a different time and era now. And so now you got to work for it. It's back to when I first got into gig economy back in 2016. And so you had to develop certain instincts and intangibles that enable you to thrive in something like this. And I'll go as far as to say this: gig working ain't for everybody. W-2 work ain't for everybody. I've said this a lot lately. Admittedly, I've said that W-2 work has never really been my strong suit. The only reason why that I thrived, that I lasted as long as I did in the newspaper business, is because I was a sports reporter, I was a beat writer, and that meant that I didn't have to work desk. If I had to work the copy desk, I might have been out of the newspaper business a lot sooner. By me being a beat writer, I was out there among the people. I didn't have to come into the office. I was in and out as I damn well pleased. In fact, some people call me the stealth reporter because they hardly ever saw me, and I liked it. I loved that lifestyle, man. That was a lifestyle I had aspired to live in my childhood, and I got a chance to live it out. Now, as an independent contractor, basically I'm living that same lifestyle now. It's just that I don't have a MP3 recorder in front of somebody's face or near myself and the interview subject asking a bunch of questions. That's the difference. And then the difference too is that I'm not meeting a deadline where I'm having to write the equivalent of 1,200 words in about 30 minutes, including quotes. That was my life. That was my life over 20 years ago, and I did that for over 10 years. Okay, what you saw there is the actual delivery of the heating and air material that was needed for a contractor on this project that's to my right. This is a relatively new business park out here in the Concord, North Carolina area. It is two exits beyond the exit to go to Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord. This building is not yet complete in its construction, and so these contractors needed additional material to complete their phase of the project. Well, again, this opportunity earned me $181.70. In terms of dollars to mile ratio, it was $1.50. Now, for perspective, if that would have been on the Roadie app, that might have paid $60, maybe $75 at least. If that were like a pickup from Columbia Airport, and I had to take this to Charlotte, that might have made about $60, $70. If this was from the Charlotte Airport out here to Concord, might have made $20, $25. Just putting that in perspective. Although I have shared with y'all how, at least on roadie projects, on roadie gig opportunities, sometimes it does pay. You know, I had one recently last month to pay $197 and change, as I've shared in this particular segment of the Gig Geezer. I do have options. I could hang out here in Concord and see what's on Instacart, DoorDash, or Uber Eats, or Roadie, or maybe Dispatch. Or I can migrate towards Charlotte and keep the apps on for those opportunities. In fact, if I were to just migrate all the way back to Columbia, at least through Rock Hill, I could keep those apps on and see what could come my way as well. I have options. This is what I've shared before in previous Gig Geezer segments when I've come up here to North Carolina with gig delivery opportunities. These are options that you also create for yourself when you work multiple apps. So that's all I have for this particular portion of my daily grind, daily hustle. And when I get back with you, it may be with some opportunity here in North Carolina, or it could be later today when I'm back in Columbia with another scheduled opportunity. And by the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. All right, it is hours later, and I am back in Columbia. And I'm about to start my second half of the day. This is my second half hustle, my second half grind. And this is going to be the bigger one. And hopefully I may make additional monies this evening. I thought that while I was migrating back through Charlotte and the Rock Hill area that I might catch something else, but I didn't. Nothing really tickled my fancy, so to speak, to where I was willing to accept an order. The closest I came was in Charlotte when I stopped at a Jack in the Box. In fact, it's where I always stop before I head on out. There was a restaurant across the street. The order was for $13, but the miles on it was 12 miles, and it was going back into uptown Charlotte. And I didn't feel like driving back towards the downtown area. I wanted to kind of stay where I was or head back towards Columbia. And so I passed on a $13 opportunity. I don't feel any shame about it. This particular order that I'm about to start on, it is almost a $1,300 Dlivrd order. That's right, Dlivrd. This is this one is all right. The base amount is $50 and the tip amount is $190+. So this order is going to pay over $240. That's right. So that's going to bring my daily total just on these two opportunities that I have done so far today to $420+. And so if I stay out, I'm thinking about trying to go for 5 bills today. And so we'll see what happens. And by the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. All right, I am back to complete this segment of the Gig Geezer. It is now Thursday, February 2nd, 2022. And I've had some time to think about what all transpired during yesterday evening's half of the grind, half of the yesterday evening's half of the hustle. Now, after stopping off at my office downtown, because that's where the pickup was for my delivered order, I made sure that there was nothing had been passed under the door, which translated mail that was slipped under my door. And so when I got back out to the parking lot, I turned on all the apps. Since I had about 30 minutes before pickup time for my Dlivrd catering order, I accepted an Instacart at a nearby Kroger. It was one item, and it was some type of bubble gum that I'm not familiar with, but she wanted 9 of them, and so so she got 1.5 cartons of this particular order. It paid $15.26. The entire process took 20 minutes from the moment that I drove to the store and to the drop-off location. Then we go to now the delivered order. This delivered order was, if memory serves me correct, among the largest orders that I've had on the app. But this particular order was my highest paying on the app. The base amount was $50. The tip amount was $192.72, bringing my total to $242.72. That is by far my highest single gig food delivery order or gig opportunity in the gig economy. Now, if you look here, if you look here on the inset, that is how the order looked in my cargo van. It took me 7 bags to put everything in. This order is from Old Chicago, which ironically, I was surprised that it was from Old Chicago. But what was ironic about it was that the order was ready when I got there. Usually, I have to wait another 20 minutes or so before the order is ready for me to load up. So like I mentioned, there were 7 bags. Of course, I used my hand cart, and then you see here on the inset the setup of the order. We used, or at least I used, 3 tables to put the order on because that's what the customer wanted. Wanted it spread out so people can kind of mill about and still be able to access food. So after that order, with me being in the downtown area, all throughout the day, there was just this dead pall, whether I was in North Carolina or back in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area. But I managed to catch an Instacart for $17 at a Public. There was 10 items. This order was delivered to some college students at one of the housing residences nearby the main campus. And then from there, I migrated back to another part of town. And on my way to that part of town, I accepted a Uber Eats order that offered $15.08. And upon picking up that order and as I began to drive en route to the drop-off location, I noticed there was some roadie opportunities that are nearby. I noticed some roadie opportunities at a Walmart that would be in the vicinity, and I went for the one that was offering the most, which was $14.76. The miles on it was 5, so I figured that this could be a real quick opportunity, and the algorithm accepted my quote offer for it. So I knew I had at least one more opportunity behind me, and so drop off the Uber Eats order, head back over towards Walmart. The Uber Eats order eventually paid $16.60, so it paid more than what was offered. And when I was about 5 minutes from the roadie pickup location, I happened to notice another Instacart. This Instacart had an offer of $15.78 for 4 items. Now, I knew after the Uber Eats order, I was at about $470. And I was thinking, because of how slow things were going, it may be a push for me to get the 500. But as it turned out, it was obviously meant that I was going to make 500 yesterday. And by the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Now, the reason why I say that it may have been for me, because with Instacart, depending on the type of an order, typically at Public or supermarkets, public supermarkets sometimes have deli orders, so that means that you're obligated to go to the location that you accepted the order. But if there's no deli order or deli pickups, then you can go to another location and try to complete the order. Well, what I did was I went by Walmart, which is like literally like the next light down the road from the Public. Got the picked up. So I marked as picked up the roadie order, which was groceries. It was a grocery pickup from that Walmart. Go by Public, and they're telling me we're closed. Well, when I kind of realized what was going on, I'd accepted that just after 9 o'clock, and that Public was closed. So then I tried in vain on 2 separate occasions, try to cancel out on that order and just get the base pay. But for whatever reason, I was unable to really get anywhere with the Instacart support, at least on the chat. And so upon dropping off the roadie order, I took a chance at driving to the actual and initial store location. All that is to say, that store was closing at 10 o'clock. And so I got there at 9:45, and within 15 minutes, I had marked that Instacart order as complete. And so that order paid $15.78, and that brought me to $503 and change. So as I mentioned, I suppose that it was just meant for me to make 5 bills yesterday. But what's significant for me about making the 5 bills was that that was more of a personal accomplishment than anything else. This is something that I guess for ego's sake, I wanted to show that, hey, I can make 5 bills, and this had nothing to do with fucking DoorDash or Grubhub or many of the other apps. This was strictly on, I guess you'd say, the opportunities that came my way, and I took advantage of them. So now the goal is still, as a cargo van owner, getting myself in a position where I can see these $400 plus, $500 plus days on a more consistent basis. And I am getting very close to some contracting situations. In fact, I've got like 3 of them that are in the works, in which I need to submit some photos, and I got a couple phone calls to make. And actually, I've got one contract that all I need to do is sign and submit my information. The other one, I need to submit photos of what they're requesting. And then the third one requires a phone call and probably some subsequent paperwork. But I'm getting close. And that's a good thing for me, because I do have some other things. I do have a couple of other things that I would like to do with respect to cargo van business, and it may involve the purchase of a second cargo van. So as y'all follow me along this journey, I'll be sharing more information. But hopefully this segment of the Gig Geezer may be some motivation, inspiration, or encouragement that, hey, it can be done, getting out here and making that money. That is the mark of a true hustler. The mark of a true hustler, always find a way to make it happen. And with that, again, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm in Wood Lane, and as always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.